Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I have Supervisor Richard Forster with me today. How
Hi,
you doing,
Tom.
Supervisor?
Very good.
Richard
How are you
Forster.
today?
I'm pretty good. Okay, now we have an agenda coming up. You're going to tell us what's going to be on the agenda for tomorrow.
Yeah, fairly short agenda tomorrow. Like I told you, we have a lot in closed session, but sometimes it's like that. That's not a good sign usually when the closed session is bigger than the open session, because county is sometimes we have a target on us. Any government agency, sometimes you have a target on your back, and everybody wants to sue us. So
I guess you're talking about lawsuits, possible lawsuits.
oh,
Is that
you
what that
can
means?
you
We
can
have
look
more
at
than target?
you can look at the closed session agenda, and you can pretty much it spells it out. Yeah, there's litigation, and that's a couple things we talk about in closed session, and usually one of the big ones is litigation. There's property negotiations and
personnel.
And personnel matters, that's right. So, okay, well, starting off on the open session, we're going to have our District Forest Ranger back to talk about the memorandum of agreement with the county. Actually, it's the memorandum of understanding with the county regarding the MOA, or the memorandum of agreement that was signed between RCRC, Regional Council of Rural Counties, CSAC, and the U.S. Forest Service, BLM. Plans, rules, regulations. We're going to strike that now because Supervisor Ornetto had heartburn with it. Really, whether we strike it or not, we're going to be doing that, because just as a matter of course, they look at our plans and we look at their plans, and we try to make them work.
Richard, who's going to be in charge of the agenda for the first year when this, if this takes place? Do we know yet?
It'll rotate, but more than likely the county will be in charge of setting up the agendas and meetings and things like that. But it's going to rotate, as good suggestion from Susan Grijalva, our chief planner, to rotate it on a yearly basis, not on a meeting basis.
Right.
She just said she's seen this before, and it works much better on a yearly basis. But there's some big issues in here, whether coordination is already included in this plan, whether we want to make it stronger. The board will make those decisions tomorrow. More than likely, I see the board making an ad hoc committee to continue to work on this, so that when it comes back to the board, it may gain final approval. But that ad hoc committee, our hands were tied after our last meeting where we discussed this, because the issues were here. John Hoffman, our consultant, made modifications and then asked the board, do these look okay? Well, unfortunately, the board can't respond to that as individual members, because you violate the Brown Act.
So who are the three groups that are on board on the signatories on the MOU?
Well, it's RCRC on the MOA, RCRC, okay. CSAC, U.S. Forest Service, and BLM. On the MOU will be the U.S. Forest Service and Amador County. And that's the whole intent of the MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, was to get back to local control, where the local bodies like county boards of supervisors can sit down with the forest ranger and have a good open discussion, rather than over a period of time now, over years, it's been more like this, and some forest rangers just have not even paid any attention to local government. Now, that's not the way it's supposed to be. When we have issues, we should be able to sit down, talk to our district ranger, and he should be able to talk to us about, likewise, about other issues that he may have some heartburn with.
Okay.
So anyway, next item up, back to fire again, the Amador Fire Protection District. As predicted, as everyone thought, the Amador plan, rightly named for Amador because we were the first one to contract with CAL FIRE, is going to go away in Amador County, because we just can't afford it anymore. We've gone from 3 stations. We had Dewdrop, Sutter Hill, and over in River Pines, down to 2 stations, down to 1 station, and now we can't afford 1 station with a contract basis with CAL FIRE. So we're going to basically go our own way. confirm, the Board of Supervisors needs to confirm what the Fire Protection District Board did. Sounds kind of funny, but both entities are the same, so the decision is basically made already unless we get some public comment that might change our mind. But what it does is it allows hiring of one engineer 24 hours a day, which means three full-time positions. It would have one full-time firefighter who works a 24-hour shift, 2 days on, 4 days off, and then one firefighter for 12 hours per day, 7 months of the year. So that's how the Amador Plan dilemma will be resolved once the Amador Plan is no longer with us.
Okay. Alan, I believe we go to 12:15 using this plan, right? So I think we have a few more minutes. Okay, now getting back to that, Caltrans will still be I'm Caltrans. Cal Fire is still in the area during the summertime, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. But we're not going to be paying them on a contract basis. So
is that when they serve as the state responsibility area? Is that
well, we are a state responsibility area. They should have a presence here. Does that mean that we're going to have mutual aid between CAL FIRE and between our local fire agencies? It should. Reasonably, it should mean that. But right now, there's no guarantee that CAL FIRE will staff during the winter months when we have a lot of medical activity needs. No guarantee of anything anymore. So the Amador Plan's going away, and who knows what CAL FIRE's plan will be. According to Kelly Keenan, they're going to staff accordingly if the Amador Plan goes away. So what does that mean? We'll find out.
Will we find out some about this tomorrow when you're discussing it? Will any of that, what I just brought up, become a little clearer?
Well, I'm sure Jim McCard will be there. I'm not sure about Kelly Keenan, our district chief, but really those questions remain to be answered, what CAL FIRE is going to do down the road. They may look at us and say the county has full staffing. We don't need to have full staffing now. We just don't know what their plans are. I know, but they're in budgetary constraints. That's why the state responsibility area fees were put in place, the tax, and that sure isn't solving the problem. And I know we'll talk about that a little bit later, but yeah. It's caused another dilemma for CAL FIRE. They got a $60 million hole in their budget, and how do you resolve that? So, anyway, next up we have a quick issue but a big one. The Amador County Building Code we have adopted, and this was recommended by Amador Fire Protection District with Chief McCart there, recommended that we adopt the provision 15.04.025 of the State Building Code, California Building Code, which means that every building has to have sprinklers. Unfortunately, some new buildings that have been built over 5,000 square feet do not have sprinklers in them. What do we do? That question is going to be asked tomorrow. Is there any way, as is stated, to amend that?
We need to take a break, and we're going to come back. We'll come back with that subject right after this break. Stay with us here on TSPN. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. Richard, go ahead and continue on with that.
We're back to the California Building Code, and this primarily revolves around the 15.04.025 of the Amador County Code, which we've adopted, AFPD adopted, the Board of Supervisors adopted, the automatic sprinkler systems. Now,
some of the buildings that you're talking about, how long ago were they built, Richard?
Well, that's a question that's going to come up. This is just coming out of our building department, so I'm not even sure if these homes have got their permits yet.
So we're talking about homes.
Well, I hope they don't have their permits yet. It's homes and offices, anything else, but I hope they don't have their occupancy permit yet, because as it stands right now, they are required to put sprinklers in. Now, my question, because everything that's been thrown at the Board of Supervisors and the AFPD board up to this point is that this is a requirement. You cannot sidestep the California building codes. Right. So the question is, how can we repeal this? And that's the specific question here. It's asking for possibly giving exemptions or repealing this. How can we repeal it if it is a strict code out of the California building codes? So
who will be giving you advice on that?
Well, our county council will give advice, and Chief McCart from the, and it specifically says that Chief McCart will be at the meeting to elaborate why this should be in and the reasons why. A pretty important item. None of us agreed with having sprinklers be a mandate when you build a home or when you build an office over 5,000 feet, but it's the law of the land now.
Commercial buildings that, like grocery stores and large stores, or
it applies to everything over 5,000 square feet.
Right.
And I think
I'm thinking that all of the buildings that I've seen that are built, new buildings, not homes, have had sprinklers as a part.
Well, a lot of homes, though, don't have sprinklers.
I was leaving homes out.
Yeah, most of the businesses do it, and you're right, it may be a requirement for businesses over a certain size, but as far as homes, it is the law of the land now, and as I understand it, we can't sidestep it. Now, if we can, I sure want to know, because we should have got that advice a long time ago from our county personnel, because I don't think we would have implemented this in homes. It just doesn't make sense, especially in the high country, putting a sprinkler system in, even though they say that it will not rupture in the wintertime, because basically you have things like antifreeze type fluids in your system. Still, it's a big problem upcountry, but that's how they say that you keep it from bursting, is that you have this antifreeze type of fluid in there. So
interesting.
Yeah, the last thing is we're following up on the CUPA, the Certified Unified Program Agency, and this is the Agricultural Hazardous Materials Handler Survey. We've tried to work with our Environmental Health Department, and they've come up with a list of names of people who have not complied up to this point. Basically, we're out of compliance in the county right now. We're trying to just nudge the supervisors again, myself included, that you need to pick up the phone and talk to these people that have not filed the forms necessary, and just tell them, come on, you need to get on board with this. It's a state law now. It's time to fill out the forms.
What are the handlers, and what is it that they're handling, Richard?
This applies to people, and there are a lot of people that just have to fill out the form, and they're not going to have anything that they have to fill out, because they're not keeping hazardous waste on the property. But basically, this is so emergency responders, when they go onto a ranch, a farm, a business, they know where the hazardous materials are. That includes things like acetylene tanks. It could be for the wineries, propane tanks out in the field.
Is that information put on computers or something for them, so that when they're rolling out or something, they can look on their computers and things?
Absolutely. This information would be available for the emergency responders. So when they respond to a fire at a factory, they know where the butane tanks are, propane tanks. They know if there's any gasoline stored on site, but they also know if there's any other chemicals that are stored on site. And all it requires the people to do is to label where those things are going to be stored, and have them labeled so they can be identified quickly and promptly by emergency responders. We don't want any of our responders getting killed because they walk into a building that's going to explode on them because they didn't know the materials were there. So we're just trying to nudge
it. Makes it a lot safer.
Yeah, we're just trying to nudge the supervisors and say, come on, all of us, including me, it's time to do a little better job and contact your constituents out there who haven't responded to environmental health. Okay,
now Richard, you're on the RCRC board.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And how was RCRC getting any more information on the SB, the fire?
It's the SRA fees, state responsibility areas.
Yes.
But the end of the session was about 10 days ago now. That Friday, at the end of the session, the Senate had a chance to pass a bill, SB 1500, or excuse me, it was AB 1500. Then it worked its way over to the Senate. They had a chance to pass that legislation. It would have put a new tax, or would have changed the structure of taxing corporations in the state, would have put a single sales factor in place. We had that in this state about 3-4 years ago. They would have gone back to that. It would have basically increased the tax on out-of-state corporations. That would have generated about $1 billion in revenue per the tax. Now, the powers to be were in agreement of taking about $90 million out of that, putting it towards the SRA fees, and then granting a repeal of the SRA fees, or state responsibility area tax, that was sent out to all of us. That did not happen because the Howard Jarvis-Gann Association came in and basically threatened any Republican who was going to vote for this that plan on not being in office down the road, because they'll go up against them.
So right now it seems like that outfit, Howard Jarvis, and that is opposing the taxes on both sides, or a way of paying this.
Well, a lot of people looked at it as a power grab by Jarvis-Gann, but you know, it's pretty well thought, and even by the Board of Equalization, that if Jarvis-Gann sues, they're going to win.
I think where I was coming from is maybe Jarvis-Gann is taking a position that this is something that the government is supposed to be paying for, probably out of general funds, is one of the main things that government does, is fires. We seem to see that right now. You know, we have the 16 complex fires that's been going on for weeks now, I believe, and CAL FIRE is fighting that. I don't believe that's a heavily treed area like most of the SRA fees are in. They're down there fighting that. How does that get budgeted?
Well, if it's not an SRA area, that's our whole argument. That's the basis of our whole argument, that CAL FIRE is a statewide emergency responder to fires, earthquakes, everything. And why should urban areas of the state have to pay an inordinate amount of tax to support CAL FIRE when they respond to every fire in the state?
I think that's a big question. Thanks a lot, Richard.
Okay,
and thanks for watching. Stay with us. There's more news on the other side of the break. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.